Hey, it's John Allen from Charm City Devils. I'm the singer, songwriter dude, front piece, as I say.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Before we get into your new EP titled 1904, which comes out November 22nd via Broken World Records, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passion. Where did your passion for music come from? A certain album, a certain live performance, or was it always something natural for you?
That's a good question. Never really thought about it before. My earliest memories are my mom, singing around the house. I think while she was cleaning, and then my parents, they weren't musicians, but they loved music,
Yeah.
so they were playing music, playing records around the house. And when I got a little older, I started looking through their record collections, and they had very eclectic kind of tastes. They had Frank Sinatra records, but they had Beatles singles and
Wow.
Beach Boys, and I kind of, those are my first kind of things I remember listening to that were anywhere near rock, and then, like, we live in what most people call townhouses, but
Hmm.
here in Baltimore you call them row homes. So your house is right up against another house. And as I was growing up, I heard one of the older boys next door. He had a band, and he had this huge Ampeg stack that
Wow.
he's cranking guitar out of. Of course, one of the first songs he learned was "Smoke on the Water," and so I heard that blasting through the walls, at an early age, and I think that kind of set me on the path of, like, I was, interested in those sounds, and hearing
Very.
that kind of music, heavy rock, and that kind of set me on this wayward journey that I've been on now for a long time.
Yeah, very cool. Well, I live in California now, but I grew up in Baltimore area. So let's talk
Oh,
about the
cool.
title of the EP 1904. Why did you pick that, and how did you learn about the Great Fire?
So, my great grandfather was born, I think, prior to the fire. I
Mm-hmm.
think he was born in 1903, my mom said, but all his birth records were burned up. So that was my
Oh,
first stories about the Great Baltimore Fire. I don't know if she hadn't told me about that. I don't know that I would have really known about it. It's kind of like not really a super well known event, and I think people that live in Baltimore now probably don't even remember or have heard of it. And
yeah.
we just thought it was sort of a metaphor or apropos for the town is really struggling now, more so than ever, and it's been in the national spotlight because of the
Yeah.
riots after Freddie Gray's death, and then more recently because of things that the president said about the town.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
we thought, well, the city rose from the ashes once before, so hopefully we'll rise from the ashes again, and that's what 1904 is really kind of a nod to, is hopefully the resurgence of this once great town.
Cool. Well, tell me, what does Baltimore mean to you? Because you're still in your bio, like, well, Kid Rock likes Detroit so much. This is Baltimore means that much to us. And I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I grew up, just outside the city line in
Uh-huh.
East Baltimore. My parents both grew up in East Baltimore near
Mm.
Fells Point, and
Oh, wow. That's a cool place to grow up.
yeah, Fells Point. And I think when they grew up, though, it wasn't like hip and
Yeah.
and cool and gentrified and such, But yeah, so I spent a lot of time in my youth in Fells Point and
Hmm.
Highlandtown and the area they call Canton now, and I've always had an affinity for the town. The town has supported my career for a long
Hmm.
time, and it just I like to say, Natty Bo,
Yeah.
National Bohemian Beer, was from Baltimore, and probably the rest of the world knows it as being this ultimately, like, cheap beer. But
Oh, I love it.
National Brewery was in East Baltimore. Like, a bunch of my mother's uncles, I'm sorry, a bunch of my mother's brothers worked there at one time or another.
Yeah.
Um, they used to have these. So I used to say that Natty Bo runs in my veins, and Old Bay, which is the spice that we put on steamed
Oh
crabs.
yeah. Well, I
So,
always
but
joke
back
I got kicked out of the state for not liking Old Bay and crabs, so
right, there you go.
it's a
But
religion
yeah,
there.
so one of the things I say about the national brewery is that I think they went out of business, had to be bought out because they used to have this policy where on Fridays, if you work for National Beer, you could go up and you could get a case of beer for free every Friday. And I actually had a gentleman. I was wearing a Natty Bo hat last year, and this guy said, a friend of mine, he was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old. He took his little red wagon, took it up to the National Brewery on a Friday, and came out of there with 2 cases of beer.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
So that's probably why they went out of business. But yeah, so I don't know. I love the town. It's got its weird little quirks.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly big city, but it's still got a small town kind of sort of thing about it.
Oh yeah, I used to love getting natty. This is a natty boat for $1 at Fletcher's. I don't think Fletcher's is there anymore. So
right, yeah, it's not.
No. Yeah, Dad used to go play at How Daddy's. Do you remember that place?
Oh yeah, I remember How Daddy's.
Okay, cool. All right, well let's go through the new tracks from the new P.
Sure.
Dollar Sign, is that about anything particular? Obviously, it's about money, but
it's about struggling, man. It's about looking around and wondering, how the hell do I get ahead? How the hell do I, it's a song told from a person's point of view who's frustrated with his situation and who's worked hard and still really doesn't have anything to show for it. And I think that's kind of how a lot of people feel in this day and age. And that's what I was trying to convey and relate to with that tune. I mean, it started out as a really killer guitar riff by Teddy, and so the music really actually came together very quickly, and then the pressure I felt was on me to write a good melody and lyric, and so I was like, oh God, man, I just hope I don't fuck this up, like I really I dig the groove and everything so much, and so that's kind of where that song's coming from.
It's Tide's Turning. That's about the Ravens taking over the AFC.
Right, sure. Your lips to God's ears.
Oh yeah, I'm a diehard Ravens fan. I got the tattoos to prove it. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah,
me too.
Yeah, sweet. It's funny because your track "Broken Hearts, Broken Bones." I was before I clicked on, I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a ballad song, but it's a pretty rocking song actually.
Yeah, it's not a ballad. It's really kind of a blues sort of rocker, I guess, in some ways. That's one that started out with like that verse kind of in my head voice, and then Ted wrote a killer guitar riff for this, not the solo. Well, the solo is great too, but for the chorus, he wrote this killer line for the chorus. So then, I started writing these lyrics, and kind of, in the rewriting process, it started to develop into a song really about, I guess, just reflecting back on life and the bumps and bruises we all go through, and and struggles, and ultimately contemplating your own death, and what's going to happen when you're gone. It's sort of the kind of message there, I guess.
Very deep. I love it. Skippy Stone, such a great song. I also love it. You also put an acoustic version on the EP. Talk about the song and why you want also acoustic version. I wish more bands would do that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we've always enjoyed like going when we go to radio stations. A lot of times they'll ask us to play our songs acoustically, and it's one of the things that we really like to do, and we feel like it showcases another side to the band. And the acoustic version of Skipping Stone on the EP, it enabled us to show a little bit of a different side of the song as well. there's a guitar part, the main kind of riff under the chorus of that song, of the acoustic version, that Teddy came up with while we were tracking the heavy version. But there were already so many guitar parts sort of kind of intermingling, and they're all fighting for the oxygen, sort of in the track. So it kind of, was on the cutting room floor. And then when we decided to do the acoustic thing, we were like, this is a way we can kind of, save that riff and pop it in so people can hear, a different sort of vibe for the song. And then it kind of grew from there.
Oh, that's a cool story. Nice. So yeah, your EP 1904 comes out November 22nd. What's next for the band? I mean, I'm sure you got like a tour you're working on. Or...
Yeah, we have a bunch of dates that we're about to announce in the next week or so. I'm not sure when this podcast will air, but we've got we got some regional stuff coming up, and then we're hoping to hop on a tour in the next year.
Cool. Well, I hope you guys make it out to Los Angeles sometime so I can come see you guys. So.
Me too, man. Nice. That'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks for taking your time to talk to me, and keep rolling on like a skipping stone, man.
Thanks, brother, man. Have people check us out at charmcitydevils.com and check us out on the Facebook page and Twitter and all that stuff, Instagram.
All right, man.
We'll be right back.
Cool. All right. Take care, man.
Thank you. You too.